So because that's what we sell, and it's the cost of the cable networks, the international cable, but also the national cable, then all the equipment. Are coming down, except using you have to buy equipment, which is reviewing to national circuits. Just last thing about not very far from Lagos, circuits from Ibadan to Lagos to connect the internet, because all the cables come into Lagos. That circuit costs us more than the circuit to London. Okay? I had a quote this week from one of the operators, circuits to Abuja. It costs 4 times circuit from Lagos. Okay? And then from Abuja down to Lagos, and then you've got to get to London. You imagine for internet access. This is why it's so important, I think, to cities, infrastructure, which is of connecting back to submarine cables, so that everyone's got access to internet.
Let me just, I think I'll take a comment from Funke.
I actually think they in terms of data packages, I think education, maybe to respond to the questions, the educational segment is one I think is concerned Nigeria could do more. I think Tower's intervention was very instructive. An NGRN for universities doesn't cover nearly. We need to be building started, which is what I thought was requested, that a review of the utilization over time and how we continue to upgrade and enhance that so that really meets the requirement of our young population. I also wanted to say something about of government and really just to thank the NCC as the government agency that did respond to the invitation. They're not the only one we invited, and I think their commitment and their participation does say something. So we do appreciate that, but sometimes it's difficult. It's the attention that's private sector of some of our other government agencies and ministries.
I'll just let it take some closing Tower and then Brian.
Thank you, Joseph. I think I just a couple of comments from me on the two colleagues of my city. The one I think was on Wi-Fi and how do you make internet and applications that have been developed over the internet, how do you increase the adoption? It goes exactly to the point. We need to encourage engineers to use the internet more. Data today, I think some people feel take my oxygen, but please don't take. It's guarded like price commodity. They have to head, what do I want to use my data plan for? I think if businesses don't embrace, at this period, which I call an emergent period, if businesses don't embrace the ability for users to come without thinking about prioritizing what they should use the data plan for, I think more users will go online. And education without you worrying about data plan, because it is very vital to your ability to be able to increase. There are institutions and organizations that can enable a website and certain URL. But would I think that whatever the customer wants, the customer should get, or would you be willing to pay the price? And we actually do have what I call same upload, same download speed for business class internet today, and Funke will second that, which is unlimited for business and corporates, so they don't worry about the data that they use because they pay premium to be able to use any type of data. They just tell the future will probably change. You have to pay the right price for it to make economic sense. And for those people who abuse it, you have technologies that allow you to throttle, because most of these packages, 1% are using 90% of the capacity anyway, and those are the people you want to manage out. So I think that will happen later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ibrahim.
Just very brief comments from me. requests for free this and free that. As David said, there is a huge cost to running this business. Somebody mentioned, well, he cannot use it because there's no power. I'm not in the power business, yet I probably own more generators than the whole of PHC and generate also to that effect. I run 6,000 generators 24/7, 40% of my OPEX. If I could remove that, the effect on the price in the markets. So there's a cost to deliver. We talked about states. I'll just give you one quick example. We laid 60 kilometers across to get from one point to another point across the state, 60 kilometers. I bet you nobody probably can tell you how much it. I'll tell you it is north of 1 million students. They said write a check. So those are the realities of doing business. So it cannot be unlimited and free as well. There's this slight cost. But what we do, as we obviously listen to our customers, is try and find packages and bundles your sort of needs. So if you're a student or a home to do. To the lady who complained about sort of your data bundles just sort of disappearing. Sometimes there's a technical hitch, but most of the time I'll tell you what we have found. As devices have get on certain devices, for example, high definition. So we had one customer who, a year ago, different type, he always bought that same. And when we checked, downloading and watching movies in high definition, there's it consumes a lot faster until he understood what was happening. So sometimes, as Funke said, it is the education that needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Ibrahim. Thanks a lot to our panelists. I think this section is quite robust. We've touched on a lot of things. We've touched on the issue of stakeholders. We talked about the issue of infraco, metropolitan fiber. We talked and debated the issue of national infrastructure. And there are kind of arguments to say, look, at the end of the day, to just get interconnectivity right and ensure that sharing of infrastructure is important. The need for spectrum can be estimated 700 megahertz, 800 megahertz into the spectrum auction method. Need to revisit some of those methods that do. NCC is here. They're only just on how much money we can raise. We can look at cost optimization was touched on. Broadband services cluster facilities charges were quite making like part of this. We also have the issue of interconnectivity of schools. I know something is with teaching hospitals. That has been done. Subsidizing assets, subsidizing CPEs, well, that come out of this. Small businesses are not only having access to broadband, but also having presence on the internet was actually mentioned. So at this point in time, I would like to thank this.
Ladies and gentlemen, shortly we'll be on a networking break. But we'll like some commission at this point. Yes. Like I said, a lot of people, we at BusinessDay we have distinguished publications. Our BusinessDay, the daily, and our BD on Sundays. We have over 500,000 subscribers MNS on the MNS platform. We're talking about over 50,000 who visit our website on a daily basis. And then of course a lot of subscribers. So what we're saying now is for you to join that elite group. We have our subscription executive out there at the entrance of the building. Her name is Ella. You can call her if you have a pen out, putting phone numbers. The subscription forms, like I say, is out there. You can call her on 070 694 88736. 070 694 88736. 080-573-04968. 080-573-4968. We've had complaints that sometimes people don't to buy on the street. You don't get Rolls Royce to buy at on that bridge at Beggar. You get it in specific areas, which is a luxury items that you don't just get everywhere. So it's easier for you to subscribe, it's cheaper, it's delivered to you at your doorstep, and that brings more value for you. That's what the value we give always on Business Day. Thank you. So I'll expect you guys back seated in the next 10 minutes. Presentation by Austin.
My name is NWAULUNE. If you put the first 3 letters together, you have one. The second 3 letters, you have Ulu. The second and the last 2 letters, Ne. One. Ulu. Ne. Say after me. That's my name. The presentation, what I found here was National Broadband Plan Federal Plan and Regulatory Consideration. I did not know that it's recent development. If it was recent development, then maybe I would just need 2 slides to talk about recent development, but all are embedded inside here. So the content is introduction, broadband in Nigeria, broadband is in Nigeria, regulatory considerations, broadband, drivers for broadband, some broadband highlights in Nigeria, which frequency. I'm sure a lot of people, they said, are here with so many questions about frequency and so many expectations about frequency. What is this resource that is needed to deliver wireless services to you and I? A lot of people say that the thing is scarce. I might say it is scarce to the extent that we have developed things to exploit it. Will you say that something that started from 9 kilohertz and ended in 3,000 gigahertz is scarce? Ordinarily it wouldn't have been, but it is, as a matter of fact, scarce. To the extent that it is standardized and harmonized. If you look at the frequencies that we currently use, this 2.1 that you have 3G. This is part of the 3G one leg that is TDD, time division duplex. We currently license, only one operator is there. It's not happening. And what that means is that the cost of deployment is very high. A lot of people say yes. Technologies, standardized technologies are deployed there. They are deployed there, but the fact that they are cost standardized does not mean they are standardized. The fact that Ericsson can develop something for you on that band called LTE does not mean because it does not enjoy the scale that real LTE provide. The same thing, the 2.2, the 2.3 currently will have devices. I say yes, the thing is standardized, it's been standardized, we have LTE there. The 3.5 is something, and all these are currently licensed and in use in Nigeria. So is this scarce? The cost of deployment in the various span is what the issues are. The 5.4, we have considerable bandwidth there of 25. And we licensed it in 2009. But through that license process, we did it administratively because of the concerns that some people have raised today about the auction is not all. There are other considerations for licensing. So, we were licensing in 2.9, we did administrative licensing and only about 7 provisional offers. Only paid for that provisional offer. That goes to tell, even when we did it administratively, the non-stabilization of that band, because perhaps they've come to their shareholders to respond to pay for the license, which was very meager, but only one paid. And now I start to the extent it doesn't seem as being very profitable for them. Today, they have requested and we considered it and scoped it. Instead of them operating nationally, we've allowed them to choose the region they want to play. The 10.5 gig also is broadband wireless access. 28 megahertz per slot. Today we have a couple of there, and like I say also, not harmonized, that you go to the market and find terminal equipment off the shelf to deploy. 26 gigahertz the same. Plan for broadband wireless access, LMDS, was operational there. But a couple of the operators who took it returned it at some point. They don't want it at that moment. Only one player is utilizing that frequency as we speak. The 800 megahertz in Nigeria was planned and used for CDMA. At some point, the 824 to 890 for the digital dividend came in. And it was majorly used for CDMA. But today, with the digital dividend coming in, people playing there who needed to be accommodated. So the band has been reorganized and replanned into 3 megahertz. And the Smiles, intercellular, and you have smartphone. So as we speak, the band should be yielding dividend. The 900, that's the almighty GSM that you know, which has capacity and capability of going into LTE. The same thing for the 1800. A couple of operators, they have done trials to see how they can reform that frequency, the 1800, to introduce LTE there. Because they have subscribers that they have to deal with, and they can't just discard the subscribers that they have and migrate to LTE direct. Because today is not purely on voice, it's more data. And the voice over it is not so how do they deal with the current subscribers that they have migrating into the new one? Those are the issues. It's being tried out, a couple of weeks, and approval has been given for one of the operators while the others are still trying. The 21 3G itself is standardized, harmonized across the globe for 3G and can also support LTE. 2.5, 2.6, that's the band that was used for MMDS by the broadcast, which the government had to reform and repurpose for broadband. And that has taken some time and some work, and very soon we'll see the flyers again for licensing. I talked about the digital dividend before. In the analog, is supporting up to 8 and sometimes 20 standard definition channels. So because of that, some frequencies were saved. 790 to 862. Before the 824 to 890 was already being used. 790 to 824 actually that would have been saved, and if you are already using the other one, it means that something needs to happen. And the person or the persons occupying it that you can't tell them, move, let me give to some other guys, you will need to accommodate. It became effective by June 17th with what we have, and that is exactly what we do. The digital dividend 2 from 694 to 790 is coming effective only at the conference by October, November. Yeah, there is part of the globe. And what we fight for is to ensure that we can make globally available is made globally available. And the umbrella where that is done is the IT, International Telecommunication. And Nigeria plays very active part there. Fact. Last week we were in Kenya on the African Common Position on some of those agenda items, and this agenda item is a key agenda item because it seeks to allocate policies for what we are here discussing this morning. And we'll call it IMT. So these are the frequencies that are on the table for consideration. There is milk and honey, but there are giant for this milk and honey. A lot of 470/694, you know, the IMT community, the broadband community are saying, wait a minute, we've gotten the 692 frequency is very good. It has very good propagation and reach. Why not? So at 694, why not take it to 470? What you are saying is chase out every there and let's make it. So it's very serious battle at the level of the ITU. Even in Nigeria, here we did not have agreement that completely eradicate broadcasting and we are expecting it from you from this forum today. Then it's a thing 50 to 100. From that thing is L-band. There is not so much strict objection on this at the national level. But at the national level, a lot of people are still they have that are using it. But the message that will pass most times that will be talking about today. We are talking about tomorrow. If we close our eyes today, by it tomorrow, it is too late for us to talk about it. But then, very difficult to convince anybody that is an incumbent that should accommodate you for the service that you need. And talked about, I was just very annoyed about the selfishness of man. That everybody, all you want is to defend your. You don't even care about the next man. I think I told me that it's natural. It's innate in man. And the dogs, one of them is a superior dog, bigger dog, more powerful dog. He will corner the two, immediately the other one, because he knows that it's a weaker one, goes to the other one, he will leave that one and go here and start eating this one. And he will finish eating and be satisfied, he will lie down there. He makes a mistake of living there at all, is watching. Humans are. But in our own case, it's being read. But in the animal kingdom, so, 27 to 29, this is being contested by the aviation people. They have radars operating there. But the question we are asking, 2700 to 2900, a lot of bandwidth. is your radar requirement. Then directly below our C-band 34, the C-band. So if you look at this, you will see that there is enormous spectrum that is being looked for. This in this study circle was to study bands lower than 6 gig, and that's why all you have is. But in the next conference, in the next study circle, there is something on the table to study everything from 6 till 100 and above. And some, now we should not frequencies that some other services are using already and have been passed. Just see and leave the rest alone. So those are the debates that we had in the last meeting that we heard. Next. But when you talk about broadband and the access, you may have access, and you don't have something to take you from the access. Having very Aigbogun or Ijabode, Lagos, Ijabode, Akure, and the routes between them. When you are in Lagos, you enjoy, but to drive out of Lagos, go instead, that is way back home. And they are this. Recently, because of the data-hungry nature of structures that we have, to reply from 3.0 gigahertz that used to be in mind, something talking about as all levels are being catered for. New frequency bands, or rather 3, the 38 gig, the 42 gig, and the 70-80 gig. Currently, we are doing studies. We have the allocation already from the National Frequency Management Council, and we are doing study on how to administer the licensing. It's recommended that we should, for the benefit of Spectranet, because he was not happy about auctions. A lot of interventions for us to do our own study and determine exactly what. Then the 70-80, we had a forum sometime late last year to determine the licensing of that one. That it takes for you to secure access to it is short. And we are at the moment finalizing the framework for that licensing. Okay, the regulatory considerations for us as spectrum managers is standardization and harmonization. Because we have seen that it doesn't do anybody, any operator, any good. People come to our office, they say they need frequency. You tell them frequency and they will tell you a particular band is available. I say yes, it's available, but it will do you no good. They struggle and struggle, a hot coal of fire in their hand. Drop and not dropping. They are paying bills on the frequency and they are using it for nothing. Somebody will come and say, look, it's because the person who had it before to use it. I said, that same person who had it before, do it. And eventually, he didn't get it, but he had to go. He had to go and buy a company who has spectrum. And that he knows how to use it very well and he needs national coverage. But he's still not making business as far as I'm concerned. That is exactly why GSM prospered, because it was standardized across Europe before it gained global acceptance and license what we don't have. are we license something that you cannot use? Because we occupy a position where we know to some extent what people don't know about spectrum and their usage. So also, part of the consideration that we do is how to optimize. That's why from time to time we do replanning, from time to time proposing. Currently what we're looking at is 1900 was spectrum that was used for CDMA as a legacy. That when the 3G came, we had to lose that 2100 that I talked about that we're using for. How to use aspect of it because of the occupation of CDMA, the Americans. So what we are looking at now, since 1900, I hear people talk about the fact one of the 100. And what we are doing is to look at how to replan that frequency given the comatose nature. We have sent out notices, and you need responses to those notices. You hear issues about staff, you hear issues about the assets, you hear issues about. So those are some of the factors that we put into consideration when we do the things that we do. We are regulators. What we do is to put everybody in perspective, the positions of different people, and that's why we like coming to forums. I was in a forum in Lagos here some time ago. Somebody was and his company was indebted on spectrum, and he had moved over to the other side, and he was speechless that are indebted. And I could not believe that he was saying it. That's the same thing about human beings and themselves. That once you have obeyed a law, it is not obeyed, that will be removed. So part of the things that we do also is to ensure interference-free operation. And sharing, we have supported to see whether or not we should accommodate active infrastructure sharing. Something that we are looking at the level of the Commission. Yeah. Government is very key. I talked about the need for us, even outside those formal meetings, to have discussion among the government functionaries so that we achieve the things that we set out to achieve more easily and swiftly. And investment moderated, but I saw that in the planning, and that is about active infrastructure sharing. Technology neutrality, that is what we say we advocate, that's what we practice, to give you leverage to advance as technology is advancing. But when you do this also, interference becomes an issue, which means there must be handshake. Because if you say we are technology neutral, then you wake up as Austin, Nigeria, who has a particular frequency, and there is Happy Nigeria Limited that is adjacent to me. And by the practice of the Commission, technology neutral. And you just jump one thing. By the time you are doing it, it's affecting. That's why even when we are technology neutral, we still intervene in issues. We coordinate to ensure that things work, because we have one network, and that one network is owned by the Nigerian government, the regulator. This, I think we have talked about. That was the second Tewe's presentation, and when I learned he was on the first panel, I said every statistics that you need to have, I am sure he would have provided those statistics. So these are just literature. We try to talk about the impacts of broadband, which I want to hear. You know, that drives life today. It is like the oxygen, according to my Oga. Oga said that the frequency is the oxygen and ecosystem. And I am helping the broadband ecosystem is now the oxygen to life and living. Because there is nothing that you do today that is outside. Everything, every endeavor comes. They said when the train or broadband is crossing, that person is on his own. The time he looks back, he would have been miles away from the rest of the people. Next. What are the drivers? I say forward-looking government policies. Not policies to address the policies that look policies that are like the Wright brothers for that day. And he couldn't see what they were seeing. But years afterwards, what they saw came. Those are the kind of policies that we need for broadband. Active private sector play. The sector is completely liberalized, and the industry, well, talking about, I listened during the early, we were talking about that national, and my response was going to be, that is the part that we are. You don't attack it at the same time. So, the gaps have been identified. It's on the metro. Why is it on the metro? Because we have a lot of capacities already in those places that we're calling national. The next intervention fund, universal service intervention, will now close up those other gaps that are left. Intensive investment is needed. You hear a lot of people talk about how telecom is a spinner. They talk about how telecom is a spinner. They fail to talk about how telecom is money gulper. So you want to make all the money that telecom are putting that kind of right investment that the players who are grumping that money are putting in. The more you put, the more you get. The computer people, they say it's garbage in, garbage out. If you garbage in small capital, you garbage out small what? That's what it is. Intensive investment. Robust application platforms. The room during the last panel. But I am not actually one of the people that strongly believe that we don't have the demand side. I believe at this point, at the level where we are, we have demand that the operating companies are not already, but you are not giving me the support. So I think there is some level of demand that is not even met. It's like when we started in 2001 and you people studied, what I had was pent-up demand. That pent-up is still there for data services today. It's in the voice that you can say that those demands are dwindling. Okay. Perversion of smartphones. Initiative establishing the National Broadband Database presentation. Thing that is driving the way we react, the way we act towards achieving the objective that we have set. Introduction of wireless wholesale access license that brought in people like BFOX. Those are the interventions that we put forth. Like Deborah said, they were supposed to harmonize. I can't remember the word, but it's supposed to, let's say, bridge any gap that's identified in the fixed infrastructure that infrastructure to liberate. That was the open access, wireless access model that we are still hoping that we're going to achieve what we set out to achieve through that licensing. And then we open up spectrum as they come, we reply with a file with a purpose and infrastructure sharing. These are for broadband. Yes. Continue. You know, a lot of problems that the operating companies had. I had that from your presentation also on the Smart State Initiative. I think MainOne is part of the charges for telecom devices of Wave and Co. These are the things that need to be dealt with and killed for broadband prosperity we want. Then Universal Service Fund subsidy. You take advantage of it, develop your products, go to the commission, go to the USPF, defend it, and you get the right subsidy to deliver services. Yes. Highlights statistics that Tebe has already provided. I don't know why you put this one. How feasible? Very, very feasible. But 4% internet service, 11 that we have. But the problem is how do we take them to internet? Where MainOne is playing. Soon to be concluded framework for administration. But when I discussed with MainOne, one of those that I think the bandwidth that is provided beyond what the people need in their homes or something. Considerable progress in broadband in Nigeria. But together we will get there faster.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. I won't bother pronouncing it. It's a shame. I come from Delta State incidentally, and I speak. But you pardon me for that anyway. Thank you, Mr. Austin. And may we please give my I'm going to immediately call on discussant, distinguished guests, some of who are here to be part of the panel to discuss some of the issues that you have realized, and I guess as well that you guys have questions for them at the end of the day. Our CEO, Frank, Aigbogun will be moderating, and then down to the last. He's here now, so I'll hand over the mic to Frank of the discussion. Thank you.
Okay. I think before at least one person asked a question earlier. Why is it that we don't have government people here? So two things I'd like to do very quickly. First, thank you to Austin. In the past, when we did this, we've had state to providing some leading line state government people in here. And Funke already provided some explanation for why it is that NCCs. He was speaking after Joseph, to take out some laws, but I thought that it was very elaborate. Typically, when I listen to the regulatory agency, that is very critical. Sure, but I think any very fair as much as others have been, and I think it's because of the great that they did, especially at the beginning, getting us somewhere and bringing us to where we are today. So our regards to you. Go back to the office. Now, we're raised in either in the initial commentary that we got or also we were talking about the winner's course in telecoms assets and what have you. But we have out today our panelists with, just to make comments, and then I'm going to start by the other who.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Persons and opportunity Austin, and also, his representative doing jobs, and obviously they have good quality people. By the presentation that Austin just recently gave to us. So, I would say, well, this will be my own, and we'll be waiting for commentaries in terms of what Austin has presented, what he presented. I must say, well, if you are not an engineer, you may not enjoy it as much as I did, but all the same, but it's quite enlightening. Many people say, oh, spectrum. We heard from him, you won't be a wireless operator without spectrum. Just like life, it's also quoted being related to broadband, and it being broadband is what is, because all of us now talked about broadband, and so the non-too-technical people do understand broadband, even if they do understand spectrum. Now, we've now married both through Austin's presentation, and we know the interrelationship of spans or we use in our homes. It's the broadband that is the real utility for all of us that are the gone ahead to break it down into access layers, which the backhaul and then the regime, the processes they take in refarming those spectrums is used. So Austin has really done a wonderful job of enlightenment, and I only take a cue from the audience here on interesting questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like Iken, of course, is from Airtel. When Ibrahim earlier did speak about ongoing collaboration between Airtel and Etisalat in the area of sharing assets or access to assets. While, of course, I'd like to make some opening general remarks, I would be asking him to try and show to us how well this initiative is working and how we can hope that then becomes a standard in the industry.
Iken here from Airtel. We have to like to thank BusinessDay for this. Sorry, BusinessDay. Opportunity and for organizing this on Spectrum. We all know the requirements for Spectrum. There's fiber that needs to go broadband, but more and more, the more smartphones, there's other devices, TVs are becoming internet-enabled. They're talking about Internet of Things in the future, so the requirement for spectrum just keeps growing and growing and growing, and there's always this need to find more spectrum to meet the appetite of the having said so, I think the quick question he asked, issues of sharing. Everybody realizes that, of course, sharing is the way to go presently. Trying to share, there's a lot of framework for infrastructure sharing. Currently limited to the passives. I think we are looking forward to regulatory expansion in the way of sharing that, which is restricted. So when that happens, there will be more sharing. It's important cases and all that, so sharing is the key. And we need more on the line. Maybe more later in the discussions, we could look at options for maybe sharing spectrum among operators. That's one way to open up the spectrum for more greater utilization. I think I'll just leave that.
Spoken already, but I think that given the comments were made in after the previous presentation, he was not on the panel and didn't have the opportunity to make a response. We started, how long ago now? The task at hand was you allocate very limited licenses to a plethora of companies that were interested. And I think without any doubt, easy to deal with. I thought we're all complaining how you set a SIM card for 36,000 naira, and we never understood that. Because if you look back to where you're coming, 36,000 naira is not. You have to ensure that the MTN, as they were called out then, made the requirement and got us to where we are today. We have the new challenge, access to spectrum. As a journalist, I don't think BusinessDay has feasted on that. But I've read a number of reports, some not so pleasant, some pleasant, reflecting in my and the controversy over how you then allocate scarce resource to a large number of interest groups that are keen to take that. But the question I wanted to ask, you didn't quite agree that there is a challenge with demand. In your view, the respect of demand. Is that just to excuse NCC so you can fight that out, or is it that they will think that there is a rule for everybody? Because I think it's only VAR policy. I also told the operators that there's also pricing. And I believe that pricing is key. How do you deal with this? I mean, how do you start leading and saying we think there is around demand, and hoping that by policy build that demand?
Demand comes from you and I. Demand does not come from the operating companies. Come from the operating companies. So that there is demand today, like I said, is not to mean that there shouldn't be, have not been met. So that our problem is not the problem. The problem is, how do we satisfy, like I said, of download speed that I want to get is not what I am getting. Why? So I'll ask the operators, why are you not giving me what I want? So we are saying, let's now more demand. Today, what we are grappling with is quality of service. Yeah. And operators are being fined. improving the quality of service. What are these within the demand that's already established? The fact is, yes, it is. But I am not saying that where policies are required to create demand to make students work, make students things that we shouldn't do it. Intervention. Then you talked about that when we started things where we have to use auction. Auction remains a way that is globally accepted as a true right price spectrum, because it is inclusive. It's not the government sitting in one room and saying it has to pay $1 billion to get spectrum. We say, come to and tell us how much you want to do it. Some time ago, in 2009, we did an auction, and we considered it a novel at the committee. But for some reason, it was not criticized, it was, let's say, queried, or it was objected at certain levels. Why? Because the Bible says to the pure, all things are pure. if you are not pure, then some things remain. So, when we sat around table to determine that, it was a meeting. People were given opinion. We ran with it. Only to finish saying that they have told somebody to gather money. And all we're saying is, we know that frequency, people are already sitting on it. Kind of method, device, so that we have a level playing field. So we determine the price, and we say, what we need to do, just publish this, and let it be on the second day, very close to the end, even the first person paid. But then, at the end of the day, it was considered effective. We thought, as a matter of fact, we're thinking that after that auction of countries are going to imitate. That when the thing was in the country of origin, we lost that possibility. So, yes, auction can have a couple of drawbacks, like he said, the winner cost. You have established the amount that you want to cost is winner cost. So that's the point. Everything in life have their drawbacks and positive points. An auction to a life has at least nobody tells you you were discriminated. Also on the design of the auction, and we'll be very mindful of that. So we are not limited to auction. Like I told you, we have used various other methods. We think auction is the one that you are telling us what you want to pay, and if you are the one telling us, no matter the quantity, it will be jump and pass. Thank you.
Okay, Austin, thank you. I'm sure we're going to get questions for Austin and the others on the panel at some point. I see hands up already. But I thought I should give the audience the opportunity. I mean, given that they were winners of the wholesale wireless broadband, clearly there has to be some very rapid into something viable, commercially viable for them. To just get a sense of how deployment has been, for them, working with the regulators and others to ensure that going forward, that we have a good understanding of how what happens immediately after licensing to when the company actually begins to, extract juice from the license.
Okay, thank you. Yes, in the last presentation we had about one of the drivers being thought of by NCC as being the wholesale broadband wireless access initiative. Bitflux won over and there's been a lot of expectation concerning the service rollout. Well, I will do a step back and say, well, originally, yes, that and there's been a quest. The way Austin said, there was an auction, and which was adjudged quite fair, and I can still affirm it's quite fair. But then the service rollout actually, apart from after the auction, then you need to come to the reality. Paid the auction money, you have the spectrum, and then you need to roll out service. Now, rolling out service needs you to now start planning the network. It takes some time for the plan to mature. You probably the process of evaluating to the vendors. We have the number of vendors, and everybody. You need to know what you want, which we did. We were going on LTE, which was then a maturing technology, and they come. And of course, it's always a dynamic industry, and we have 4G now, and then there is 4G advance, or there is LTE advance, and then talking about 5G. Now, the issue is, do I wait to go on the 5G train, or just go on it's taken, and then we've actually chosen the vendor. So we are at the moment rolling out. We're starting out. We really have first week in August to the testing. Had come around about 3 weeks ago to see the data center, and first call had been made, but that is just part of busy deploying in Lagos Island. So this is, I guess it's taking longer than we expected, because it follows a process of vendor selection, in the environment, and of course capital will come. We have a very challenging environment, and then everybody, coupled with the high cost with the environment. It's true if there is a pent-up demand, but we also, it's quite challenging, and the cost of actually producing a unit of the good is actually a lot more expensive right here, because of the many challenges that is available, or that we see in the environment.
Thank you very much. We didn't hear him talk about any cost. I assume that the winners come. We're here to have everyone concentrated on this side of the... Oh, you just heard me. All right, we'll get to you. Let's start here.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is CEO of this program. My question goes to the things that these service providers. We remember some couple of years back when telecommunications in the country, some telecom charging as high as 30,000 naira SIM card, and even the prophet had told that rate of 4 naira for SMS. Now, what I think that the commission is doing to make sure that the same thing we experienced some couple of years back, we are not experiencing it now. Because I discovered that there's a particular ISP that I used to mention their name because they didn't pay me for advert. Yeah. If I want to check, just to check my buy 100 naira, and load it on my data, and then log off. As low as that, Then what are the things that the control is to make sure that you are monitoring these people? You don't just wait and watch that and now let them cut the necks of Nigerians to make sure that they recoup their money.
Yes, sir. I think you had your time, friend in the red shirt earlier. I thought that was how they refer to you, so someone with a black shirt. Yeah.
Well, I'm not wearing a black shirt. My name is Olatunde Olatubosun, and I'm in charge of systems and internet services planning in Nigeria. I would also like to start by thanking the organizers of this program. I think it's a great opportunity for various stakeholders in this field. I also want to thank Director Mr. Austin for the wonderful, quite insightful. I have a couple of questions. The first, spectrum availability to be easy to get, and also such that services are properly driven and available to most of Nigerians. So if that's the case, then what's delaying the allocation of the 2.6 gigahertz bandwidth to existing telecom operators? And about a year. Okay. As we, and one of such is the issue of fraud, which is tied to masking of services, and it's been very challenging for the law enforcement agencies to be able to down. Okay, so by this, we know that IP version 4 will be exhausted pretty soon. It's exhausted in a couple of countries already. So what are the regulatory plans and awareness around migration 6? Okay? Now the last question is this. Currently, with the likes of WhatsApp and the rest of them, now the main chunk of the revenue, which is voice, is also currently with the likes of other OTT services that are available. So innovation does not go down, and at the same time, the government keeps enjoying the amount of revenue and income. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Akoni, IHS Nigeria PLC Limited. Sorry. Multiple taxation now, and I'm bringing it up again because last time you were not seeing. Thanks, Mr. Austin. State governments, having different ministries of state government charging fees for this and that, and even charging fees for things that parliament. Of course, we all agree. It's something that's been said during this time and over again by all people that have spoken. That now my concern is, since we have identified that problem, what is doing about it? It's a problem that we have over time identified. What exactly is being put in place to make sure that this issue is overall? Because the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, the end users.
Asked that we're really running short of time. Question, because we need to begin to round up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Engineer on Mobile Broadband. We've heard some of the with this coming in. The question, Austin, how do you plan affecting all these services that are coming out, are not regulated, causing service providers loss of money? How do you handle that? You also mentioned that service providers are putting fees without the because they still do voice over IP phones as a mobile rather than doing fixed access. You've done a lot with the fixed, but we need more with mobile using those.
Thank you, sir.
We will not be taking any more questions. It will seem all the questions just be here for me, so that they can just remind you, Austin, what NCC is doing to monitor service providers in terms of tariffs. You have
I can share some of the questions with you. And I want you to yeah. What? In fact, that is not adulterated in, so that we are the people that do the extraction and data. Operators invest in give you service. If they don't make the money in return, there won't be sustained investment. And if there is no sustained investment, there is no sustained. And if there is no sustained, there is no sustained satisfaction for you. So we want to protect the subscribers. Operators have run out of business. Those subscribers that were tied to those operators today are not enjoying those services. But they have the option because there are other operators in those services. So what we don't want is to have operators go out of business. There are we want today to give you at no charge to permit that, because there is something you may not know. There is something they call short-term gain for long-term pain. The guy comes, gives you at no price. Every one of you rush to that one. You kill that one and go back to it. And that is, like I said, it exists, and the operators exist. Then you have a right as a consumer, and we have that in every of our forums. We have a platform. Somebody is not being, I had somebody say that called customer care, and the customer care said that there is no law that that make them bill them accurately. I said that's something that can I just have it's not reporting exactly what I was told. Complain to the operator that is giving you that, and where you are not getting redress, you escalate it to the commission, and the commission. I should go straight to the process. Delay in the 2.6 licensing. Every moment came with a reason, and it is declared. I tell you that the postponements were administrative. That spectrum is being refound. Things need to go into that and concluded. So the assurance I am giving is that very soon the announcement will be up, because we need to license this. We need it more than you think you need it. The regulator is more interested in licensing more than you are interested in licensing. It was a lot of battles to even release, get the spectrum released. The industry was part of it. You were part of it. We've gotten it to a particular level, and we need to clean up and get the license very soon. I think I will say very soon. Regulatory plan for migration to IPv6. I am not an expert in that, but I think I know that steps are being taken. We have a department actually handling migration, and IPv6 is the way to go. There is plan. I am very sure that I can't give you the details. The OTTs for us, are they not? Nobody wants. Because the very point that I say, most most often is that nothing stops the operator. They should research and develop their own values. That's the word. Use those. Nothing. But that does not mean that they will not be regulated. When you were a kid, you crawled. At some point, you started walking. At some point, you started running. So those are being looked at very by the NCC. And as we go, also, we don't do anything without you. Bring it down, and both you and the OTT, when they are there, talk about it and we'll take a step. Multiple taxation. I am sure I am not even to talk about it. I can actually delegate that one to Ms. Funke Opeke. She can tell you everything about what the government has been doing, what the regulator has been doing, what the minister, the former minister, state initiative. Those are things that are geared towards resolving those multiple taxation issues, and they are being addressed. The fact is that most of these things are as a result of duplications in law. At times, statements, they just read a particular clause, and that clause gives them the power to do what they are doing. So it's either you go to court and establish it. What would you rather do? You do in that. Plan to protect all service spectrum. Like I said, once the spectrum come on board, we license it. Whether it's auction or it's not auction, we don't hold any spectrum. We invite you, we talk about it, licensing format that we are taking, we discuss it, and we hit the road with it. That is the end. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're going to be sent out of here very quickly if we don't on our own leave. I suspect Biodo and Ikena would have at least a few closing remarks to make while we close. I'll start with...
recently, the NCC had restrictions on the use of microwave spectrum for and just like that you reconsider that, it's an appeal to reconsider that restriction in view of the benefits to the thing. I think the discussions between the issues on multiple taxation, multiple regulations, those have been being addressed, but I think it's probably actually up to us as an industry to even drive this more, particularly government in place. And we need to see more issues of how would I put it, probably issues of maybe responsible taxation, collaboration between federal governments to look more at taxation so that issues of multiple taxation are addressed. But I like to look more at the big picture. Like I said, the fixed solution, yes, it's there to give you broadband, but the speed we need to come on the wireless side. So we need more spectrum in that regard. Particularly also, I like to also talk to operators, fellow operators. We don't participate a lot in these events, in these discussions with the NCC. Also appeal to us, talk more with the NCC on these things, and also to government, to the reason why there shouldn't be participation on the National Frequency Management Council. That's one council that takes huge decisions on spectrum issues. I think the government can open up space for operators to participate and contribute, and would have meaningful contributions from operator perspectives that would be useful in expanding that space.
Said no. And now, immediately after the I should intervene. Okay. The one that is within our purview to talk about putting the NFMC, that is exclusive for the lawmakers and for you can to the National for them to consider as a legislation. Yeah, about the use of micro solutions. There is no law that says that should not be done. There is no technical thing that says it should not be done. But the fact is that we talk about demand and we talk about supply. And when you see that supply what has been done, I talked about short-term gain for long-term pain. One thing I will say here, yes, we have found, you write to us and say that you actually want this thing, and the commission will consider it and say, okay, we lift this embargo, and everybody who wants to do enterprise with microwave can actually do. But you should be ready, or you will be ready to, it comes to a time, even that basic one that you need, you cannot do it. You cannot backhaul anymore because you don't have the capacity to backhaul, because the spectrum is exhaustively for high as we are the doctors. So as a doctor, even though it's your body, we don't allow you to do what you like with your body. We prefer to be able to accommodate these needs. So the best way for us to do it is the determination that we have done. Now if you feel so strong about it, you write to the commission and object to it, we document it, and we discuss it for the commission and determine exactly what to do. But we will need a commitment from you that you will not say the regulator does not know what he's doing. Before I say, don't know what he's doing. Somebody said, why did the commission wrote to us? Has a frequency that is not standardized. When it was requesting for, we said it was not needed. But when they couldn't use it, they wrote back to the commission and said, why did you not advise? Why did you not advise us? So that's the point. At this point, it's advice we are giving. When you begin to hold it on and you want to do it, write to us again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ikena and Austin. I would say the wholesale wireless access license is new. Obviously, we look at it more like a pioneering service to be able to help in driving the broadband penetration. I would say we would need more from the NCC. There is the issue of the initiatives, and then there is the issue of spectrum and rollout. When the companies came out, they got all these no duty, no this, no that, no that. Now we would want, for this acceleration to happen through the broadband wholesale services, considering that the ecosystem is old and is not all the that have been put on the table at the moment, it will be a nice look at incentivizing that particular license. Aside that is the issue of the enterprise spectrum, enterprise business backhaul spectrum that they cannot mention. I think that is one of the essence of the wholesale wireless access license, and the issue of collaborating. We've actually come around to many of the operators. We have enough spectrum to be able to accommodate most of your. Austin has talked about constraint. We talked about scarcity of spectrum. But when an operator has been licensed as wholesale, wholesale is simply to be able to energize other operators. The issue of collaboration has been quite difficult to achieve in our environment. I don't know whether that needs to be regulated. The regulators sometimes they do their bit. It is now left for us players and cooperate with each other. So I would say now that is the comment I have.
Abiodun, thank you very much. Abiodun is from Opeke. He has told us a bit. Very grateful. Ikena from Airtel has provided a network to the discussions this afternoon. We're going of services. We need to be careful how it is that we, very and quickly get the regulator to take the whip and chase our providers. We come from where we are now is not perfect, but I always believe that ultimately, if a customer doesn't like the best is for the customer to move to another service provider, rather than a clamor for the regulator to take the whip. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure if I ask you, you will gladly do. Let's give our panelists a hand up.
Thank you to our section moderator, Mr. Funke, Aigbogun, and of course the panelists. They've done a great job. You see, what to attend this type of event is that the questions that I don't get is hot. I'm glad that whether the students as well. We will continue. We could have done lunch, but so that a lot of us have an engagement elsewhere else. So I think we lunch, not really waste of time, and then continue the program. But I think it makes a lot more sense for us to continue the program, and then we'll have all the time in the world to do lunch when we're finished. So to our next presenter, Nena, Regional Coordinator, Worldwide Web Foundation. She's going to be speaking on end-user perspectives on broadband value added services. Nena, please.
Hello, people. Okay, so the easiest way to make someone a bad person is to bring the person between people at lunch. And that's what they do to ladies when you have to present. So people are like, okay, when is she finishing? It's a good thing I cut down on the 250 slides. I don't know enough, yeah? Okay. I would like 1 hour, 15 minutes? Yeah. Okay, I have a question, but my other mind said, shut up, don't give those people trouble. My question to the last panel was going to be, what is broadband and spectrum in any Nigerian language? Like in Igbo or Yoruba? And Africa, and one of the things I do is try to explain affordable internet to 5-year-olds, to 60-year-olds, and to 70-year-olds. And it's not an easy job trying to explain broadband to these people. We work with NCC, we work with some of us here to drive down the price of broadband internet access. Next slide, please. These are the stakeholders. We have global private sector. I'm here because members, one of our key members on this journey, driving down the cost of access for West Africa and hopefully for Africa. And go on, please. We have industry members, we have state members, and in the next slide we also have the beginning business thing. Some cultural parts to it, there's some education to it, and for last end users, the end users, people need is going on for them to be able to get into the ecosystem. Two important slides. This is one of them. What is your internet issue? It is too expensive. I don't have the requirement. I don't have the computer. I don't have the children. It's not valuable to that is the bottom line. In the next slide, we ask the same question. We've asked the same questions around in our research, and it comes down to many users not seeing benefit and value on the internet. And when the panel will come up here, so we ask those who are using the internet, what are you using? What is it that is of value to you? Why would you bring out your money? They say, oh, well, I like to do things, participate, I want your information. I'm running my small business in Computer Village, in area, in Suleja. I have the value for that. One of the other things we do, please go ahead, is the affordability report. Next slide. And what we're saying is that overall, Nigeria is not doing very bad. But what we measure is policy drive. You go out on international level, you see that, oh, Nigeria is coming up, Rwanda is coming up, and all of that. We do not really measure the user attitude. You don't measure the last mile effect. I'm coming from Aba and I went to see my mother, and I said policy places in broadband internet access across Africa. Because I'm here, but this is my job. But in comparing you to Rwanda, there's a bit of a space. So there's still more work to be done. Okay. Affordability. I think with your business people and Richard has been very good in sharing all of this. So I'm not going to spend. But it's very leadership in infrastructure sharing, giving access to spectrum. I want to underline that leadership issue, even within users, because issues are not very important in the and it may be good and what an growing economy like Nigeria can do this as well. So I believe that where we're going, we could go faster if we're not that I want to discuss before I finish my show. So infrastructure is being invested in. We have the likes of MainOne rolling out fiber. Service providers are ready with probably the juniors and the co-owners and people who are rolling out services. App developers, Femi Longe is here, he'll be speaking on this panel. Sponsoring startup. There's a whole of mushrooms, any kind of service that Nigerians want. The media is ready, BusinessDay, Nollywood, of course. Everybody is willing to come to the industry. And even services are pretty online. And people like me have been training people and escorting them, initiating them, bringing them online. But then we're still at 10% of broadband adoption. So all of this work, and in 107 we don't have broadband. So what we are here as the priestess, and I'm speaking to people violent, with baptized cable, people who pray in the name of the access, content, and platforms, and they're only just I have that thing that I bought from one of the providers, and I pay 7,000 for 14 gig, and I have only spent 10 days in and out of Nigeria with 20 gig. I spent 7,000 online browsing. I don't know what the company is, but so I paid 8,000, and it finished in 5 days, and I got another 8,000 yesterday. I'm in a hurry to leave, because in the country where I live in, first because I had the fixed line telephone, which so my home internet is ADSL, and I'm limited only by speed, which is 2 megabits per second, and I have unlimited access for $60 a month. And it's Cote d'Ivoire, it's not even far from here. Yes, Abidjan. Okay, so when we were talking about, when I speak to users and I ask them, like my mother, don't you know what you can benefit from the internet? It's me here. Me, I won't go anywhere. So do we expect to go, or are we coming to users? What value are they seeing in it? Last time I was here, petrol was so I paid 50 Thailand to Ikeda. Okay, so why will an everyday Nigerian who gets 20,000, 50,000 at the end of the month, what can we do? so the person can remove 2,000 from the 50,000 and invest it into our common business. That's the question. So a father of a family wants to plan 20,000, let's even take 10,000 naira of the family budget into broadband internet access. What value will he see? That's the question, that's a point of my presentation. That is a question I want to put to our panelists. What will it take for someone to look at his money and say, transport, this one is for swallow, this one is for, and this one is for broadband data. What will you present to such a Nigerian? Because here we are, there are about 50, 70 of us. We are already convinced. But when you step out here, you will find 5 out of 10 Lagosians who are online. But when you move away from Lagos to Shagamu, it will be 2 out of 10. By the time 1 out of 10. By the time you go further, we are getting consent. Question in my next slide, this down below is we get users to see value in the value that we see, because it's value for women. Value for those who go to good schools is not the same as those who go to poor schools. Value for those who are electricity empowered is not the same as value for those who are electricity disenfranchised. Okay? So value for people differ, and that is the question to the end user, the question of value. How do we get people on broadband by in 2 years, 27? I don't know. And when can we have 60% of Nigeria? One is done. And imagine that 100 million Nigerians are using broadband. This country, people will queue up to buy Nigerian visas every day, because it will be a good place to be, it will be good business for all of us, and it will be develop, get a viable ecosystem, so that we don't just move from government to service providers and to the city and back. So we move around the whole of Nigeria. We have investment coupled with availability, followed by relevant content and affordability for the users. Those are questions that I bring. What is our position? How do we engage the people? How do we get them happy? How do we get the Nigerian to bring out this money and invest into broadband like every one of us? How do we get families and in their budget, in their daily budget, in their monthly budget, how to plan for it to the stakeholders? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. See, that's why our mother to take care of us. They know our problems, and she made it very brief for us. Thank you once again, ma'am. I'll go right away and then call the discussants in the panel, and of course, moderate this session, and those questions they'll help you answer them, and of course, people in the audience. I'll call Mr. Sam Aigbogun, who is head ICT. Lagos Mainland East Region FIRS, please. Mr. Sam. Okay, we have Femi Longe. Femi Longe at co-creation. Thank Chika Mobi, LIF Lab. Benda Sheson will be represented by Olumi Ebayebo, the digital media manager. You're welcome. I'll hand over the discussion right away to Nena. Thank you.
We really need to take a photo since there are two ladies on this panel. It hasn't happened the whole day. Okay. So, I mean, I don't have anything here to say. I have been to your place, I know you. you are in Yaba, you are in Lagos. When you go away from Yaba and Lagos and you go home, what's the value for all as a developer? How can you convince those people to invest in broadband as users?
Thank you very much, Nana. Thank you for MainOne BusinessDay. I'm Femi Loge from the Co-Creation Hub, and what we do is encourage the development of technology solutions that solve real human being problems in Nigeria. And I think that probably is, you adequately captured it in your slide, but that probably is the starting point of how do we get the end users to invest in technology. How much are we embedding technology that we're creating into how people live their lives every day? A simple example, elections. How many of us went out to try to register or to check if we have a voter's card to vote in the election? About a month ago, when the BVN was supposed to end, the mass scrambles to the banks. What would they have taken the banks or CBN to make it that before you leave your office or wherever you are, you can fill details here, and then you're simply going to the bank to cap. They get lots of adoption, and people won't see it as a spend that they can't see the value for. A bit of it now when they're saying, okay, the exams are going online, and now you can get in a few days to months, and having to go to JAM office in the days when we sat for JAM back in the days. And I think that's probably the heart. How do we step back, look at what does an average Nigerian need, how does their day go from the morning when they wake up? Touch point. How do we use technology, how do we adopt technology in making each of those touch points time as much as if we did? There are many ways in which we can actually use technology in helping people save time. So and if you do that, I'd rather pay for it, get something that will save me less time and give me more time to go make money, than to spend time wasted like the many things that we have in Nigeria. I think I'll stop there now.
Let me come to you. In being you go around the country speaking to younger people, speaking to children. So far, how business, let's say Nigeria. How markets.
Thank you, Nina. Bring them to online jobs in Europe and employment, and then thirdly, work with youth in universities to help tech business ideas while they're in school, so that when you're out of school, they don't need to submit their CVs everywhere. Like Nina said, we got the importance of ICT policy and how they can use it, in their workplaces. We recently had a focus group in our office in Yaba, where we had about 23 women come to, we're working with the woman actually uses the internet or uses access for, to check our Facebook. Only 4 of them have smartphones, and this is in Lagos, because I heard Nena say that when you go out of Lagos, and only 1 of them has a computer out of 23 women. And we have access bound down to the fact that they cannot afford it. So the person who checks Facebook once in a while spends an average of 1,500 naira, maybe on a smartphone or on an Android-enabled smartphone. And during the focus group discussion, we try to encourage them and educate them. And I think one of the problems is digital literacy, because of the work with on the SAD community. They don't know the benefits of what they could get. When access is free and they're educated, they're aware of the opportunities that are abound, of how to go online, how to make vegetable soup, how to different things. They were amazed. But if access has been available, and they can afford it, there are opportunities for them to to get online. So I think.
Okay, I'll come to you, sir, because you deal with stuff and I invest in this thing. If I go and get that this broadband thing will give, have you made this and what have they been saying?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Last year we started 440.ng, which is a skill that we invested in 9 startups as part of 440, and most of them were started by very young first-time entrepreneurs. So with regards to the question, I think people are so young people. People come right out of school. I think that is the reality. I think Femi is probably saying maybe more of them should be going to get a job. But there are no jobs. So there are no jobs. So and the truth is that we learned from trying to build a business and failing, and there's a lot to be gained even in the society, even as a community, because so someone does a startup. So, for example, is not able to raise funding, is not able to. They educate hundreds or thousands of customers who they reveal for a solution. Many of the solutions in Nigeria are still sort of latent pains that people have. For example, right now the 23 women all of them learn how to make better use of their and so forth. They're trying to help people discover these latent pains, and then the demand, they help us to uncover the demand. And then I found that many times somebody would try and do something and try again, or maybe it's not him, but somebody else picks up hopeful. There are other issues around, other issues affecting the degree to which they are likely to be successful to do with and so forth. But that was not your question, sir.
Is broadband one of them?
Yeah, it is actually. It is to a large extent because for reasons there. One is that there's something interesting. My first business in 2001 was doing WAP, mobile internet. It was very, very, very early in 2001. So very recently, that some of the most successful services are services that are WAP pages, basically. So some websites like Eskimi, Mobile Free, even the MTN Music Plus service. The data that these guys, so like Eskimi has almost as many subscribers in Nigeria, maybe with no marketing, no brand, no nothing. And the thing is that, so I know about WAP, most of the people who are between the age of, most of the guys who are in university code for that. So they came straight out of HTML5, all that stuff. So they are building all this stuff. All those things are for mobile broadband. That's this technology of mobile broadband. So they actually don't know the lighter WML pages, which 70% or 80% trend is towards everybody's going to go anyways. Learn this thing for just for the next 2 years or so, maybe, I don't know. But from an adoption standpoint, part of the reason why services might not be getting the uptake is because actually the people have those services are not optimized for them. They are still there.
I think Faye should come in. I don't know what the fear of computer, what's the English name for fear of high technology? I don't know. Maybe you ask me. If we have apps that will run on smartphones and use broadband, let's say 85% of are already service. What are you?
But if the truth is where the customers are before taking them to where we want them to be. If you're trying to start from where you want them to, Eskimi, they were doing the users in Nigeria. And when I asked around, 60 plus people there, lots of them very tech savvy. Who knows Eskimian? No hand went up. And then one hand went up sheepishly. And it was the guy that was employed as our cleaner, who was between just finishing WAEC and about to get into the university. And I was like, yeah, it's a platforms where you can browse on MTN and then at no cost. If you want to find out where to download, the guys that's about there. But you see, you enter at that point, and then as their disposable income increases, move them like those things that are more data hustlers. The truth is, I agree with you. I think developers need to start thinking about how do they build for that crowd. I think one of the areas we find, particularly on the development, is not understanding the market that we're building for. When we build, the starting point for us is who is the end user, how do they consume technology, and how do you take them in mind when you're scoping and designing the service that you're creating. So we have this app that was Opeke, which is a school curriculum and made it into a quiz. And one of the things that was clear for us, since this is targeting second and getting the results, and that for us was quick, and I think Tower mentioned some of the relationships between application developers and the telcos and the service providers. We think we need to get to a stage where we're going to have more zero-rated services, that's zero-rated relationships, similar to Facebook Zero, the number of the telcos. So that your book is a popular application because people see the value, opportunity to connect people I've not seen in a long time, and it trusts people in services. But the point is, what are those other services? How many are they? Are they targeting at a point where they're a good stepping stone to the next thing? When do we get for me to renew my driver's license? 20% of the work in my office, and then I'm just walking to the license office for data capture. When do we start using technology? Which school is the right school for me? The gap is endless. E-commerce starting point in, because e-commerce players, the Dreamers and Congas have invested so much to shop online. But even that, I'm sure you've seen was here. They probably would have talked about facing with pay on delivery, which was a good way of convincing to shop online because you don't have to commit cash until I see the goods. But the problem now is they're getting too many returns. You invest, someone drives with the bike to get there, you can say, no, I don't want. Who pays for the fuel cost? And so we're getting those challenges, and they're interesting challenges to have, and I think the system to get. And the guys that it's not infrastructure that requires investment. The services that infrastructure. And some of the investment needs to come from the infrastructure providers, because the more people are using your services. I mean, we've had a relationship with MainOne since we started. From the amount of data we get from them for free. People can never believe it. From 10 to 30 to 45 megabytes per second for free. And it's because what we're doing is creating solutions that will ride on the data that MainOne has brought into the country. But we're only scratching the surface at the moment. And you say 10%, we're only find 10%, talk less of 70 or 30.
Okay, I think we may have to borrow from people. They play nice music and bring people in, and when the crowd is full, that's when the call for offering is made. I'm going to make maybe a few questions and have the people come round again. Yes, sir. Can we get Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is I'm from the University of Lagos. I want to thank the organizers. I'm overwhelmed. I see top players, Smart, MainOne, a lot of top players. It's a lot of guys. I just want to round it up. Okay. I have a lot.
Okay. Broadband summit.
Okay. Yeah. MainOne.
There is no MainOne here.
Okay.
Questions are coming from people seated here.
Okay.
During lunch, you can have lunch.
Yeah. I think for I see there is 5 years experience. You need to know C++, JavaScript. This one. I don't do most of these things in school. So how we do in school, what you do, and what the end users need.
Great.
And
okay, that's the question.
Not done yet. Other questions?
Okay, that's a very good question. But look, I'll remember you for that. And even when you go online, you don't even go to universities and education sites.
And we regulate so that we can adopt solutions. And we have small business owners. What are the developers actually doing to make sure that end users actually get to use this? Look at what right now, it's cloud. We have, okay, like the last time I was at the hospital, yes, there are solutions. For example, internet, they are at, it's a sort of technology that run internet over power.
So we got that. There was a hand over there, Tammy.
Hi, my name is Ichunuj Dayo. I work as an IT solution analyst for Kidsco Cloud Services. I also head a management. Presently, you have Czechia into your organization, and a way you can have presently MainOne is in Nigeria. But what we need to, we still go abroad to host. And you guys, I believe you are big enough to be able to have a server where people can come in and host in Nigeria. That way, it will be easier for somebody the ops reduced. So is there any way you are working towards that, since you have the capacity already and you have some sites, so you can also come and, get in the university. They are doing fantastic stuff. But I see a challenge there. If I was getting a young job, I said, you can do this, and this, but nobody knows in this country. Now, your organization, can it be can bring these guys to the world, bring them to Nigeria? Let us know that we can patrol instead of...
Let's take one here. Oh, I will certainly come to the lady, trust me.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Alabi. I lived in the US for a while when the internet started in 90. Got people on the internet was the point. You can develop apps. Put on all this computation for free. Most of the apps we have, what apps? People have social networks like that anymore. They use what apps? It's free. What do you call it? That one could download. More people will get on the internet in Nigeria. That is one thing I think.
Shoot. It's just a comment. My name is Alfon. I'm from the University of Lagos. I have a son who has the same problem with him. If government do something to our educational curriculum, then I see a business opportunity for finishing schools are all over the place now. We need finishing school for this problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Uche Okoye. I wanted to add to we have organizations in such a way that they can upload their information and their data on cloud where you want to kill two birds. They have a problem of uploading have files. You give them an application that is free. You charge them little cloud. Thank you.
No sir, I beg you. On your way here, can you stop by Funke since someone has asked about hosting? Yeah, if you can inform us more, I know that MainOne is doing something.
The economics of hosting really are very low end to the high end. We have built it. We're providing infrastructure as a service, really tailored more to enterprise services. The economics, if you're hosting small in Nigeria versus offshore, where you're getting $10 a year, still favor the hosting offshore because they now have the volume action to really dedicate resources, and the requirements are specialized enough that they can't just throw it on GoDaddy or someplace like that. That's the reality of the economics. It's a platform, and it will support that, then we'll be able to do it in country. You're going to spend the money, at that low end, you're just creating that first e-commerce website, go buy that 10 hosting solution. Thank you.
Okay. Nigerians had pornography before the internet. What else can sorry about that.
Driver's licenses, voter registration, BBN.
Okay, so I'm not going to talk about pornography and all. At Nigeria, we have the solution to Opeke and other students. So we have capacities, but the two major ones that fit into the question that I asked is our 10 Our School program. It is called Techie Entrepreneurial and so what we do is we work with students in the universities who have tech ideas. We mentor them from their 200 level down to their 500 level. We encourage them to create tech ideas. If they have tech ideas, we nurture them, to create businesses, to create, and we support them. So recently we had one of our 10 gathering speakers, Mr. Kojan, who is a venture capitalist, $1 million into tech ideas of 3 of them with at IFE. And another solution that we have, we talked about where you go to look for a job and ask you for 5 years experience. That's where digital jobs come in. So people you don't have to wait till you graduate before you can get jobs online. All you need to do is have the skills. I got a job online, when we're working with Rockefeller Foundation on connecting youth to jobs. And we're using the e-lands platform, which is going to be up working in a few months. And I got a job to speak for about 12 months. And I was in the office at work and said, okay, I need to call out text. And I got $12. I was not even serious about it. What if I was serious about it? So the opportunities everywhere online, and like Nina said, where are you looking at? So we don't just connect you, we train people, we train people for free. If you want those on IT and web, on data entry that we actually have, which is not really an issue, which we're trying to solve, is broadband. Because people want to come to our office to and all that, and we also have, and I think you can see me after. Right.
Once we start off that we'll be developing a free app.
Free is not the only model. So I would invest in an app that has no way of making money. In some instances, it's better to be free if you have an advertising model or there's something else, right? But to be honest, the question of time. And I think again, young people, right? I think that the so like in are exceptional already. They already know all this stuff. They've done all the development, and they are going to get the better jobs or getting companies then the next set are different from when you're 5 or the year after you graduate. After you graduate, you're serious. You wish that if you had known, you would have been. But if you know a guy who graduated last year, which you're in year 2, and you know a guy who graduated last year and who, you know, is now found out job man, like how the job man first year, then from your year 2, you already start hustling. You have the time, and the students have a lot of free time. Yeah. And to be honest with you, the government doesn't know so much about is computer science. Teach people how to like try, because the one thing that's on the internet is how to learn. So people will see that stuff and they will get into it. What that needs to be done around amplifying. When they ask the question around like why you're not amplifying the guys that you have, you know, I kind of felt sorry about experience that so much. You do so well and you're making so much effort, and everybody, a lot of people knows it. Obviously, a lot of people knows it, you know, and they work very hard on projecting these guys. They meet someone and they're like, why are you not making noise, make more?
Or coke or whatever, but broadband is not that easy. But the question, nobody learns those things in school. Even those people who are doing compute, IT or what colleges of school, they can't code. You still need to come and sit down and be groomed. And groomed out an app is one thing. Explaining to the people why the app is valuable to them is an entirely different thing. Apart from the questions that have been thrown to you about grooming guys, getting them up in the code, my other question is, after we've packaged, compiled, and the app is ready, I know that this is very important to the crux of our question, bringing more people online.
Okay. So the young man from Iraq, people are starting to hear about it. That's currently happening. And it was on Reuters yesterday, today, and together with MainOne, we've been part of those that have stimulated and is growing. About 2 years ago, together we did a presentation to the former governor about how tech was moving to Yaba, and broadband was critical for them, for that sector to grow there. And on the back of that, Lagos State government waived right of way for MainOne to lay fiber in Yaba. And so fiber has got into Yaba, but not just Yaba, it's also connect. And part of the argument from us was that Lagos is in Yaba, Yaba College of Technology in Yaba, and their key. So to put it in perspective, Konga is in Yaba, 4 of the 5 rocket companies in Nigeria are in Yaba. CCUP is in Yaba, OLX is in Yaba. At the last university that should be talking about, we're not hearing about it. Our head of user experience and user design, who is arguably one of the best user interface, user experience designers in Nigeria. We recruited him when he was in study at University of Lagos, studying mathematics. He now trains people in user interface and user experience. And at the moment we have tons of University of Lagos. So the opportunity is there, the door is open. We also interface with the schools. We've done programs in the last couple of years with IBM, Google. Tomorrow we're launching something with Intel, specifically targeted at university students. So in truth, we're reaching out because critical part of things we found out in the tech ecosystem about their key drivers beyond broadband was talent. And if there's any conversation that happens most in the tech ecosystems around how do you find good people. And we're getting to the stage where we realize that we need to invest in people beyond what the universities are doing in them. We need to find the willing people that have the patience to learn, to adopt the right work ethics. So it's not just enough for us to want to train them, they also need to be willing to accept the training. And we're going to increase, and we're only going to increase our engagement. I'm not going to announce, we have a big announcement very soon around what we'll do. Invest is not just in Lagos but beyond, because we also realize, yes, the talent is not isolated in Lagos. Same as Funke, and I believe best tech talent in Nigeria reside in that university, which is a university. I'm sorry if you disagree with me. And you talked about PIN, whose founder is also
school in Ife
to pay more attention in there. So yes, we intend to, but then we also need to recognize that we can't replace the job of government, the job of the universities themselves. For us, it's critical that we're engaging the right players. One of the big work that we're trying to do soon is, not soon, we're already working on at the moment, is to try to understand what is the are receiving in the university and what's the need of industry and where is the gap and how the information that we get from industry players into what's being developed in the curriculum. And it's a piece of research that in scoping out and we're going on edge. That's the basis, and empirical data, that's the basis of every decision we make. If I go to NUC to say I suggest you change the curriculum, they'll say and until we start using empirical data, we just which is doing frankly it's not gotten us. On the part, so I beg to disagree in many ways. Yes, from look at where our customers are. Last year we did an understand technology in healthcare in Nigeria. And part of things that stops technology adoption in hospitals in Nigeria and healthcare system is the amount of that they need to get there. Coming with the software cost, the more the resistance for them to adopt the technology. And so far things that we're trying to use technology that relies on device technology that has reduced barrier of entry, and the more we do that, starting with an understanding of it's going to be to get them to use some of these things. Our time's up. Any other questions I can take?
Now is that in more minutes, but waiting to learn. Thank you so much. Very, very much. And thank you, MainOne.
Exciting session for not to very good friend. I would make never miss it again. I will immediately call on the publisher CEO of BusinessDay, who will give the closing remarks, and then we'll go for lunch from there. And then please do lunch. Thank you.
I think it's been said already that the challenge when you are placed before lunch or between lunch. So I'd like to thank you very, very not only for persevering. I have absolutely that it has been interesting as well. The big guys like very, very useful and interesting intervention as well. It's great. We mourn a lot what we don't have in Nigeria and how but when you come like this, you come to you find Nigerians who are spending time working not only to improve themselves and their families, but also to improve others as well. I am quite intrigued. In fact, I've started to send to my editors sitting here and saying to them how very badly we're doing, reporting some of the very interesting interventions that I've heard about today. And I can assure you we will make amends. So once again, thank you very much for coming, Funke, for supporting an initiative like this. I think we all do, provide support for things like this. The issue that we raised earlier about demand, we can begin to resolve it. So thank you. Lunch has been served for quite a while. Let me not anymore become a hindrance. Let's lunch. And for those who have more questions for some of us or panelists, I think there will be an opportunity to ask us. We hope that next year, when we stage the fourth in a series of annual Broadband Summit, that we will also be on your presence and your support. Mostly, when you go to Abuja, please travel well and send our regards to you. Thank you very much.
So we'll go for lunch, and please do the deal. And for those of you from Unilag, you have opportunities.